Today we will be talking about XDC again, and specifically how TradeFinex is tokenizing more real-world assets in the trade finance industry, this time in the form of a tokenized invoice. And that might not seem big because it's only one, but it is an example of all of the real world asset tokenization that the XDC network has been concentrating on, not just in the trade finance industry, but for securities and bonds and even gold, as I have talked about in the past. So, just to remind everybody, we have connections to not only TradeFinex by way of XDC, but there is an ISO 222 component that is provided by Impel, and we connect all the way back to XRP. That was in the news as well, which was in my last video on XDC. There is even more of a partnership in between SBI and R3 Corda involving XDC and TradeFinex. So I just don't want to pass up an opportunity to remind everybody how connected XDC and XRP are. So we have had a pump in the price of XDC from just under 5 cents up to just under 6 cents right now over the last week or so. And we have a high RSI, and our MACD has turned up a whole lot. So that might begin to find some support here, as we have some recent resistance at about this point, but it's not a whole lot. So on the weekly, we are still in a very, very good spot. Our MACD has just began to turn back up, and our RSI is climbing as well. So as far as the main content for today goes, we have from Token Topics a UAE based company called InvoiceMate enabled invoice, which is a blockchain enabled invoice financing platform, has tokenized a real world asset in the form of an invoice on the XDC chain in its recent pilot. The project used TradeFinex's open source smart contract. I can't say STs well. The CEO said that this successful transaction represents the first step in our collaboration with TradeFinex with XDC. We are actively exploring the XDC network as the blockchain protocol for future pilots within our invoice financing platform. And that all ties back into how well positioned the XDC network is right now in the trade finance industry overall. And in my opinion, a lot of that comes from the connection to TradeFinex and TradeTech as well. And just to remind everybody, TradeTech is a massively connected company that is working on tokenizing trade finance assets for much easier investment opportunities for people who wouldn't historically have access to invest in trade finance. And a lot of it comes down to Andre Casterman, who is heavily connected to trade finance global, the international chamber of commerce, and the international trade and forfeiting association as well. So the XDC network overall is very well positioned to get involved and to continue to get a larger and larger market share of this kind of an application. So here is the article that was in this tweet here. And this is from December 27th. And it just kind of explains a little bit more about what happened. So InvoiceMate showed the potential of obtaining liquidity by tokenizing a real world asset. In acting as the loan originator, InvoiceMate secured funds for client H&H International through the tokenization of essential documentation, including the actual invoice. This process resulted in a cash flow of 100,000 FXD for a 60-day period, and I will explain what the significance of FXD is in just a bit. But FXD is a fully decentralized, can't say STs, soft peg to USD and over collateralized with the XDC token with the Fathom protocol, and primarily focused on real world asset and DeFi use cases. I'm not really concentrating on it here, but the over collateralized part with XDC means that they just supported that amount of FXD with an additional amount of XDC. So if it was 100K here, then it could have been 110K or 150K of XDC. That is primarily just because of the volatility in these crypto assets right now. So this pilot transaction is an important milestone in the partnership between TradeFinex and InvoiceMate. So it is just the beginning of more and more, especially as the UNMLETR, the Model Law on Electronic Transferable Records, begins to become more and more adopted in 2024 and 2025, according to their published timelines. So if you go on the InvoiceMate site, it has a lot of information on here. They are pretty well built out right now, but they talk about the next generation of invoice automation, invoice financing enabler. They talk about financing institutions as well by way of blockchain powered invoice verification, blockchain and AI. And that helps the due diligence in ensuring that all of the parties involved in a transaction are actually working in accordance with what they are preparing to actually agree to, and to ensure that each party is actually an actual party and it isn't a scam. So if you go to the invoicing platform here, it explains that it is an end-to-end digital invoicing platform powered by blockchain and AI. So it is an all-encompassing invoicing platform that is basically a restatement. Unleash the power of features that redefine invoicing excellence. That's an over-exaggerated thing, but the people in marketing have to have a job. So it helps with invoice creation, review, approval, tracking, analytics, payment, reconciliation, invoice financing enablement. So get eligible for invoice financing through reliable credit scoring and risk profiling. That is probably a very large thing here, and I believe that I have talked about things like that in the past as well in relation to XDC, and how having the information on a public and private blockchain platform such as the R3 Corda one can help to look more into the actual companies involved, and that means that there might be able to be more creative financing options for these companies that historically haven't been able to get into and invest in these kinds of trade finance assets, vendor management, bookkeeping as well. That will be very, very important, and it makes sense to have that on some kind of a chain. Here it just explains what the process actually looks like. So if you're more interested in that, there is a pretty good website right now. And all of this, of course, comes on the news from this past week or so, that the establishment of SBI XDC Network APAC, a joint venture with UAE TradeFinex Tech, the promoter of XDC Network. And it's interesting that TradeFinex, being in the UAE, is also connected to the UAE-based InvoiceMate as well. So these connections that are being established right now, especially with XDC, there is a lot of high-level networking that goes on. And let's not forget that Ripple and XRP have a very large presence in the UAE as well. And this is from the announcement, and it just explains that that XDC and SBI are heavily involved, and Impel is in there as well for Corda, in order to provide the ISO 222 compliance that will use XDC in this company's operations. Okay, so here is more on TradeFinex, and I've talked about it in the past. I just haven't ever gone too deep into the actual company, but it is important. Up here we see powered by XDC protocol, so that right there in itself is huge. But TradeFinex is an institutional grade ISO 222 compliant non-custodial protocol for trade finance, built on can't say STs, and built in liquidity of the XDC network via the Fathom dollar FXD, which was brought up in this article here. So that is a stable coin. Oh, I was able to get it out. That is involved with the TradeFinex platform, and runs on or is powered by XDC within that platform as well. So here we just have a reminder of who is and can be involved in the TradeFinex services. So you have financial institutions, financial technology providers, credit rating agencies, underwriters that's involved with insurance as well. And then you have high net worth individuals who are investing in trade finance assets, financial institutions, and credit insurance as well. So I am not a big finance guy. I don't really understand a lot of things like that. But here on the TradeFinex site, they even talk about invoices invoices and bills of lading as well, which I have previously explored how XDC has already gotten involved in tokenizing that as well. So it all just kind of ties together that XDC overall is very well positioned to continue to provide very large inroads into being one of, if not the major blockchain player in the trade finance industry. So there was something, I don't remember if it was from this article or somewhere else. I saw it somewhere, but they were saying how invoice tokenization is approximately a $5 trillion market on an annual basis. And I think it was on the InvoiceMate site. I just don't know where it went. I apologize about that. But I saw it somewhere on here. Anyway, so that ties into the fact that the tokenization potential of the trade finance industry, or the tokenization of millions of trade documents, will enable a large part of over 30 trillion on trade finance to go completely digital. Ugh. And I would say that XDC is the first and foremost blockchain provider for the trade finance industry. And at this point, it does have first mover advantage in there. So it is essentially the Bitcoin of the trade finance industry right now.